First thing, the fat burning zone. It is this idea that if we work out at a little bit lighter of an intensity versus a stronger intensity, that the primary fuel source will be fat versus a carbohydrate. It ever so slightly implies that the use of carbohydrates throughout an exercise or an activity is less preferred than the fuel source for the fats. And it's just not as productive as it could be. And even Brutus agrees.
Of course.
So the first thing we will discuss here when we have the fat burning zone is if we have a chart kind of like this, and up here, this portion of the chart versus this portion of the chart, these are two different portions. You're gonna have your 80% of your maximum exertion. And down here, this portion right here, you'll have about 65%. So an easy way to gauge this for everybody is if we're at 80% on that scale of, we'll just call it 1 to 10, an easy way to gauge this is if someone could not have a conversation. As I've previously discussed, fitness levels are relative to the individual. And if someone is a professional athlete versus someone that only works out twice a week, they could each work out at 80% of their maximum exertions, and they could each be on a treadmill right next to each other. And if both parties work out at the same 80%, they would have different work rates, but the general feel of that activity is going to feel the same for each person. If we're at 80% here, and down here we're at 65%, this percentage of perceived exertion, we could carry on a conversation. We could converse with a partner. And that is where this whole idea of the fat burning zone occurs. And is it true to a certain extent? Yes. As our bodies are at lower intensities, the primary fuel source starts to become the triglycerides. I actually have a video where I discuss eating the carbohydrates for higher intensity exercises. I'll put it in a card right up here. As we move into lower intensities, the fuel source, yes, will generally be the triglycerides, where we have your carbon, your hydrogen, and your oxygen at 18, 32, and 2. And the amount of hydrogens on here will require the oxygen necessary to be broken down. Ultimately, a fuel source we want is to regenerate the ATP. And for the ATP, a brief discussion on that, if we have your actin and your myosin fibers right here, here's your actin, here's your myosin, we need this ATP right in through here. As these tissues slide past each other like this, you have your actin, you have your myosin, they make that contraction, and now we have ADP.